Hello, everyone. This is Howard Fox, and welcome back to another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series, the podcast that celebrates individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, and enjoyment of the outdoors. We are about to kick off the 8th season of the Outdoor Adventure Series, and it is my pleasure to have my first episode to record here in 2026 with Teddy Bloom. Teddy is a cyclist and civil rights and free speech advocate, and he is the champion for the Ride for Rights bike tour and protest across America. Teddy, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, and yeah, thanks for having me. This is going to be fun.
It definitely is. When you reached out via Podmatch, which is just a wonderful site to recruit guests for the show, and I loved the fact that you were kind of mixing up two very distinct interests and desires and goals. This being an advocate for civil rights and free speech, but also you did something that what's akin to walking the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Crest Trail. You went on a cross-country bike ride tour and to promote your advocacy. And I just think that's congratulations on that. That's no small feat, but I'd love to, if we could dive in and learn a little bit more about your background and who is Teddy Bloom. So welcome again. And first off, where are you located?
So I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which partially had something to do with why I started this in the first place. So around what was happening in New Mexico, I was concerned about like the political environment around here. So the first time the current administration got elected, there was a lot of deportations, and they were deporting people without checking if they had any kids at home. So in New Mexico, between like 2016 and 2020, there ended up being just a lot of orphan children they didn't know what to do with. So I thought when the election came up and basically Trump got reelected, that this was going to get a lot worse. Mm-hmm. And it did. So I wanted to do a protest. But New Mexico itself, and especially northern New Mexico, is pretty dark blue. So I felt like doing a protest around here was preaching to the choir, essentially. So I wanted to do something different that would stand out, and I wanted to do something that would get to other areas of the country. So one of the things that happened is my family actually lives in Ohio. So I went back home for Christmas, as I usually do in 2024. And I was talking to people as the bar, and I'm very chatty. I'm a very extroverted guy. I like talking to people. So I talk to people around, and people are really concerned about the immigration in Cleveland, Ohio. And I'm thinking, this is kind of weird. Like, I live in New Mexico, which is borders Mexico, obviously, and Ohio has a water border with Canada. So I was thinking, like, why are people more concerned in Ohio about this than they are in New Mexico? So there was also that of like going around the country. I figured I could kind of get a gauge of what people thought and why. And that was interesting too. But so I was thinking, all right, so I want to do something that goes not all over the place, but goes somewhere. I'm a runner. I could run. I think my knees would blow out about 5% of the way there if I tried to run across the country. But I was like, I probably could bike across the country. I think I could do that. And then once I got that in my head, I couldn't get it out of my head. So I started like planning and routing every day. Like I was like, I could start at the Golden Gate Bridge. That's kind of iconic. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I would end in DC because it has like a political base too. And then day after day, I started planning early March. And by April 20th, I was out the door. So.
Wow. Now, I'd love to circle back on a couple items that you shared. Growing up, being in New Mexico, Mexico is known, as I understand, to be a very progressive state, leans more to the, as you said, deep blue. And you are involved in aspects of government, and we don't have to spell it out if you don't want to. I want to be respectful of that. Mm-hmm. But how did you, as you began to share, once this got into your head, I want to do this. You don't just take off a couple months from work, or maybe you do and say, I'm going to go do this. How was the reaction in your community about what you were doing? Or was that kind of on the back burner for them? Or because you have to want to do this and let people know.
Oh yeah, no. So my friends and the people in my area were very supportive because I started early in 2025. There really wasn't much going on as far as protests, but a lot was happening politically. This is when Doge was cutting a lot of federal workers, and New Mexico has a ton of military technology and development in the state. So a lot of
Right.
those workers were getting cut. And
Okay.
one of the aspects that was part of the ride, I based it on four things. That's why it's called Ride for Rights: free speech, justice, education, and unity. So the education part was meant to educate about basically what the federal programs do for you, because there was a lot of knowledge about there, including myself. I didn't have a lot of knowledge about what they did. So there's a lot of people losing their jobs around me. There was a lot of issues about regulations because we have, unfortunately, in New Mexico, we have a lot of areas that have nuclear radiation
Oh
too,
yeah.
and they were cutting a lot of BLM workers, which is the Bureau of Land Management,
Right.
about that as well. So that was a concern as well. And then, of course, the outside of New Mexico, a lot of the college students were getting arrested at this time as well. And then a lot of ICE detainees were not getting their justice. Basically, they weren't getting sent to court to do their cases. So that's where the four ideas is: free speech, justice, education, unity. So people were very excited I was actually doing something. And people were very nice about it too. I went to dinner and I was still buying up gear to do this whole thing. And I went up to meet my buddy's new girlfriend. And after 15 minutes of meeting her, she offered me her tent for the whole ride. And that was great. And so were very helpful, I would say, and very supportive, which was
Okay.
good to see.
Very
So,
good. I love that. And there's a couple questions I want to ask, but I want to wait towards the end, getting the reaction to having set off on this journey and pursuing these four aspects of free speech, the rights, educate, justice, right? Justice, education, and you said unity. So
mhm,
I counted five, but I know you said four in a particular order. But
yeah.
that's me trying to take notes as we do a podcast. But as you as you began to set off on this, you then went before as you got this idea and you went back home for the holidays in Ohio. And you're right. Uh, Ohio shares a border with Canada. That's about it. And they're
Mhm.
worried about something that's like, why? I mean, how was the reaction in what is really a red state? I don't, perhaps even I would call it a deep red state, very polar opposite of New Mexico. What was it like up there as you began to kind of cultivate this idea?
So I will point out one of the really encouraging things about the ride, which I liked, is almost everybody was very nice to me, even if they didn't agree with the points I had.
Okay.
There was the fact that I was cycling solo across the country gave me a lot of clout, and people were very impressed that I was even attempting this or got as far as I gotten. So everybody was helpful. There was people that didn't agree with me. Like I was in near Carson City, Nevada, which northern Nevada is very red. And I met a guy riding his bike and we just rode and talked for a while. And he was very conservative, but he's like, "Hey, I can watch your stuff while you go into Target and get some gear so it doesn't get stolen." I was like, "Great, thanks." And he helped me out. So overall, the attitude I felt was very positive. I will say there was an interesting aspect. I did leave this ride believing that states are getting very different information based on your location. I was thinking, all right, everybody's in their echo chamber on the internet. You're listening to that, you're listening to that, and it's not necessarily that location based. But again, I left this ride thinking differently. So when you hit about Missouri, that's when people start really are concerned about the immigration thing.
Mm,
And I it might be a geographic thing because you live in Nevada, so you know
mhm,
most of the border in Mexico is the Sonoran Desert, which is completely uncrossable. There's no water, there's no towns. When you kind of get to Missouri and east, there's much more water in the area. So when you say, "Oh, I'm in the middle of nowhere," you're actually in the middle of a cornfield or a small town and there's at least a gas station or something like that. When you're in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico, Arizona, that around the border area, you can't live. Like it's
mhm,
not you have miles and miles of soft sand and nothingness. So the people were thinking like the entire border on the East Coast is on the east side of the country, there's just people running over, it's wide open, everybody's getting around. In reality, the problems you have around the border of people coming in are very specialized locations around Juarez, Tijuana, basically border cities. You can't just randomly cross wherever you want. So I thought that was interesting. So it might be a geography thing. as well, but there was definitely a difference once I hit Missouri and
Okay.
yeah. So
Okay.
yeah.
And as you began to plan this out, what share if you could. I'm a process guy. I'm a recovering IT business consultant, so I care about process. When I coach my clients, process kind of seeps
Yeah.
its way in. How did you begin to plan this? I mean, you had a friend donated the tent. Hopefully, that tent lasted the entire trip. If it didn't, thank God there's a Target there, perhaps. But how did you begin to then plan the logistics of doing what you were doing? And also, what kind of equipment did you need in addition to your trusty steed to take you on this journey? How did you plan this out, and what were some of the steps that went into this getting this journey underway?
Well, I planned very poorly, I'll say first, but there was a lot of improvising midway through. So I had never done this. This sport is called bikepacking. So there is a
Okay,
name for this. And then there's special gear you need. So I got a new bike because you need a gravel bike.
okay,
A gravel bike is kind of like a hybrid between a mountain bike and a road bike. So it looks kind of like a road bike. The frame is much sturdier and you can kind of put mountain bike tires on it to get through more gravel, which was good. I got a Kona. My bike was a Kona Libre, which worked out pretty well. It was on sale at the Albuquerque bike shop, so I picked it up there. I got
okay,
a bike rack put on the back. On the rack, you have two panniers that hook on the sides, and then I would put the tent on top of that rack. Then there would be a frame bag that went through the middle of the bike on the inside of the frame, and then a handlebar bag, and then I would attach a sleeping pad on front of the handlebar bag. And that was the setup. In the middle bag, I'd have a lot of like repair gear, small tool sets, extra tires, small bike pump and whatnot, patches. And then on the back panniers, I would put clothes, some water. I had the sleeping bag in there. And it was kind of playing Jenga with how you want to like pack the bike every day, which was kind of annoying because you don't want to put dirty clothes with clean clothes and stuff like that. So it's just like silly things. The packs worked out good. The panniers were pretty good. They were waterproof. They were orderly. They worked pretty well. I found out the middle bag was not waterproof
mm,
um, during the trip, which was not great. But that's what I had and I had to live with it. One of the issues that came up is like, I did over 3,700 miles from start to finish. Like gear's not meant to last that long. So I nearly had to replace everything, or at least something was a little chipped or broken by the end of it, which was crazy. I did film the whole thing on YouTube. So that was another thing I had to learn. I never done video editing or anything like that. So I had a Osmo action camera that I hooked to the handlebars. And
okay.
that was actually the first thing to break. I bought their road bike handlebar set. And on day one, the camera just went flying as I went over a curb because it bounced and then cut in half. So I had to
Oh
buy
wow.
another camera thing on day one. That was different than the one I bought, obviously. But yeah, the tent held up pretty well. The bag that held the tent up ripped. Obviously, I was going to bike shops a lot and getting maintenance and upgrades and stuff like that. After the Rocky Mountains and the road trip became easier, I started carrying a drone around to film to get some better shots and started to have a few extra electronics gear as well, so I could handle the weight. So it is there's weird stuff you have to do too that I didn't pay attention. So like most of the weight's on the back of the bike, and I
Yeah.
didn't think about this. I got into Kansas and I'm like, "Oh, I think I need to change tires." I looked at the tire closely. I'm like, oh man, the back tire is way worse than the front tire. So
Right.
you have to like rotate tires like you rotate a car if you want to get like the full value out of your tires for that, which is interesting too.
Okay.
So, but yeah.
Did you have to, or yeah, I'm going to use the word plan, and I know
Mhm.
you said I'm not the best planner. Did you have an idea of how much distance you wanted to make in a given day? And I'm curious about why the reason I'm asking that question, I'm thinking if something goes wrong in the bike or I have to get it repaired, I at least want to make it to a town that has a reasonable shot of having some type of bike repair facility available to me.
Oh yeah. So ideally it was 50 miles. 50 miles was basically the amount I could ride where I felt good enough the next day. I wasn't tired. Obviously, that didn't always work out. Nevada was probably the hardest state because Northern Nevada, you just have to go to the next town, which is like 70 miles away or something usually. But the western part of the country was tough because
Mhm.
there's not as many people that
Mhm.
you could they have there's a gas station usually you can stop at 20 or 30 miles away, but you need a place to stay and you need access to water as well as just getting the bike fixed too. So yeah, I think it was the day I had to go to Winnemucca was like a 77-mile day or something like that. That was a really hard day. Once you kind of get again over the Rockies, then you start hitting towns more frequently and you can kind of ride the exact pace you want. And there's going to be, if not a bike shop, Walmart has all the gear you need too. And you can order some stuff from Target as well. So that'll come frequently. But that was a tough thing I realized because I thought there'd be more bike shops in the area. And really that's not true for most places. And a lot of those bike shops you get in like the middle of Nevada or the middle of Kansas, they're used to like servicing a 10-year-old's bike when he's ready to go and stuff. And then you bring in this weird rig and you have all these bizarre problems because you put 30, 40 pounds in it are riding. So the maintenance you get is not always the best either in certain places, which was unique to me. One piece of advice I have, if any of your viewers ever want to do bike packing, is the thing I ended up having to get in Kansas. It's a Schrader valve to Presta valve converter, which is very tiny.
Yeah.
But your bike tires have a Presta valve. Most cars and everything else has a Schrader valve. So that means if you blow a tire, you can get it filled up at any auto body shop, which every town has no matter what. Whereas you have to make sure you have your own pump, and travel pumps are very hard to use sometimes. So
Sure. I mean, especially
yeah,
when they're high pressure, and those
yeah.
pumps are designed for that.
Mhm.
I'm curious, another question. Have you heard of the organization Rails for Trails?
I have not actually.
Okay. An extension next question. Have you ever heard of the Great American Rail Trail?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I was on part of it for some portion of my ride. So,
Okay. Because
but
I
yeah,
was thinking you would have been would have been the spokesperson for covering two birds with one stone.
once
Be
down.
out, do the cross country on the Great American Rail Trail, and be a part of uh, uh, the ride for rights that you've established, and that would have been a great mix. And the reason I ask that is I'm a member of the Outdoor Writers Association of America, and the folks from the Rails to Trails are a part of our organization. In fact, our last president was like the editor of of their publication. Which now leads me to my another question: is as you were biking, did you keep in touch with obviously family and friends wherever you were, but was there anybody that provided assistance to you, almost like the individual back in when you needed to go into Target and the gentleman watched the bike for you? Did you get any type of support along the way? Did people know you were coming and open up their, hey, come take a shower, here's a fresh cooked meal, and pack you with a couple biscuits to take on your way?
Oh, like, all the time. Honestly, it was great. I did social media posts, so I would announce when I was coming to big cities, and I would try to do like a small protest ride for any age. But most people I ran into that were helpful, I just ran into by accident. I was in California in Pollock Pines in the Sierra Nevadas, and it was like freezing rain out, and I had to walk to Walgreens to get stuff. And some lady saw me. She just stopped. She's like, "Yeah, you want to ride there and back?" I'm like, "Yes, I do. I will take that ride. I'll not get wet." Yeah, and people were helping me with stuff all the time. I was calling friends I hadn't seen since college 15
Mhm.
plus years ago. I'm like, "Hey, can I stay at your house for a night or two?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." So that was great. Um, yeah, I think I stayed with a few people I didn't know as well, like friends of friends, which was also really nice too. And but yeah, it was a really positive experience. I got a ton of help when I needed it, and it made the experience better. And again, I definitely needed the help at some points to get around and places to stay and gear and stuff like that too. So
Sure.
yeah.
It seems to me that you're alluding to what I think is reality is most individuals in this country are definitely very helpful and willing to lend themselves to somebody who needs help. And it's because of these echo chambers that are all around us
Mhm.
that people's viewpoints get a little skewed. And d- and, and so you're sharing with us for the most part this adventure. went very well or went well. Little challenges along the way, but obviously you're back home in beautiful Santa Fe. So that's great news. What did you learn about the issues that you were advocating for as you went on this journey, as you went further? You said there was a market change coming across the Rockies and getting into Missouri and heading further out east, some of the mindset. But is there anything else you learned about the messages that you were trying to promote during this adventure about free speech and civil rights and justice, education, unity? Anything else start to materialize as this journey was well underway?
Yeah, and I'm glad you actually talked about echo chambers before this, because this kind of comes back to what I learned. So I was not a social media guy before this. This was another thing I had to learn to promote this. So I'm on like Instagram and Reddit and Blue
Mhm.
Sky and stuff. The algorithms definitely promote rage. And what I learned about from talking to people and then experiencing like the full social media bubble is, if you're listening to propaganda that's aimed at liberals, it's meant to make you feel angry and resentful. If you're listening to propaganda that's meant for conservatives, you're supposed to feel fearful of the other side. And that was very evident. I didn't see that around the country. That's something that's, I believe, is just getting promoted through social media. Like that's what gets clicks
Mhm.
or whatnot. So it's kind of the goal. And you saw it when uh, Charlie Kirk got shot, unfortunately. So once after he passed away, the media was definitely like, "Oh, look how dangerous these people are! Look how dangerous these are!" And then they tried to take away rights. I think Jimmy Kimmel got canceled for very light comments, if you heard it on there. So that
Sure.
was kind of my takeaway: is there is a concerted effort to make the two groups split farther apart and feel certain ways about each other, and using that to take away rights. And I think that's still continuing right now. That being said, like the populace I ran into of was talking about like reality versus what's on the internet. Most of the country is exhausted by this. That's what
Mhm.
I got. Most of the country isn't necessarily angry or fearful. They're exhausted. And I think that's an effect you're seeing mostly.
Okay.
Yeah.
As you have finished this initial adventure
Mhm.
and ridden these 3,700 some miles, so many days, what's one or two what I would call aha moments where, wow, I'm doing this, I did this, or wow, I didn't know that? Are there some aha moments that kind of have stuck with you since you have been back and come, are perhaps the seed and the spark that's keeping you going with some of your more local work that's going on right now?
I think well, from the cycling perspective, I guess I remember being on the Golden Gate Bridge and just thinking like, holy crap, what did I get myself into here? Like just like going over it. I'm like, all right, 1 mile down. Here's almost 4,000 left to go.
There you
But yeah, I got injured pretty early on too. So I was going up the Sierras in California and I strained my hamstring.
oh,
So I had to take 4 days off in Fallon, Nevada and kind of get it healthy. So I got kind of a interesting experience with the Nevadans up there, which was actually kind of positive. So everybody was very nice, but it was very different because his northern Nevada's very, very red, so
yes.
to speak. And compared to what I was talking about, Ohio, northern Nevada felt more like a post 9/11 kind of attitude toward it. Whereas like the immigration speech was more in the Midwest. And that was kind of my intro of like something's going on here. Like this is different. It's very, very interesting. They didn't have like the negative feelings against Latinos that you see in the Midwest. They did, not to say racism wasn't there for certain. There was definitely negative feelings I felt against African Americans and Muslims, which I saw almost none in that part of the country total. But that was also the start of like me thinking like, okay, I need to keep track of this and like figure out what's going on. And I didn't really know what this was going to turn in on YouTube. My YouTube channel is where I put the most effort, and it was kind of like a cycling blog. And I was trying to figure out how to like get the politics in this very Frankenstein social media YouTube thing I had going. the initial idea was for the education to kind of interview people about their job at the federal government. But due to some of the retaliation that happened earlier, everybody basically backed out of those interviews.
Okay.
So this is kind of what I ended up doing, was kind of like tracking, and I'm working on the video now of like how people reacted to stuff I was saying, what people felt about it, and then how people reacted to what I was doing personally. And that's kind of where I got realized that like different states are the information you're receiving is definitely localized to your area. But yeah, so
Interesting.
yeah.
When I moved from Chicago to Las Vegas, it was for a job, a project, and one of the reasons is I needed a change. However, I also wanted to get out to the desert, and I wanted to see the stars. I wanted to go camping, car camping, to be exact,
Mhm.
and just experience nature at its finest versus what I could see a couple stars back in Chicago on a clear night. What was it like when you were camping out underneath the stars and it's just you, solitude, and your thoughts and the vast cosmos around you? What was that like?
It's interesting, and you have so I didn't listen to any music because you have to hear to make sure you're not gonna get wiped out by a car or something like that.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of time with your thoughts on these
Okay.
trips like this, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but yeah, you get to think about life and then see what's around you, and especially like the Rocky Mountains were very special, as well as the Appalachians too. It's beautiful, and you kind of get to ride around on this nice scenery, especially when you're on a bike only trail. You don't have to worry about traffic and stuff like that, and it's calm and peaceful, and it's relaxing, and the whole trip was kinda like that. This was a unique experience for me, not just for the obvious, but also this is the most regimented I've been in my life. Like, I woke up, I ate, went to the bathroom, put all the creams on to make sure I didn't chafe, Bengay on everything that hurt, took an Advil or something like that, and then, uh, got the bike packed up ready, took off, rode for 5, 6 plus hours, got back, got a shower if I could, put like all the baby powder, all the other creams on for after the ride and stuff like that. Ate as much food as I could, got back, and then I would edit the YouTube videos as well. So it
Mhm.
was just, it was literally just every kind of moment was scheduled out for my day. So in addition to
Okay.
just having all that time to your thoughts, going through nature, it was, I wouldn't say it was relaxing, but it was kind of relieved any anxiety of having stuff just that regimented out. And also like my goal mentally going into this is like, I'm not worrying about anything after DC. My whole goal is to get to DC. For me, the world is over after that. It doesn't matter. I'll
Okay.
figure it out when I get there.
Okay.
So it was relaxing, I would say, in a way. And it was such a weird mentality to get into, especially when after I got home too. And you get home and then life restarts and you have to worry about all these other things and all this and what you're doing here. And then I actually have downtime, which is also nice and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it's an interesting mental state to get into to do something for this long, I would say.
Okay. I
Yeah.
I can imagine. Well, and I hear that when folks are preparing for the solo hikes of the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Crest Trail. That's not in my lifetime for me, but perhaps someday. Bike riding, though, I think I could definitely get into a 25 to 50-mile bike ride with the right bike and the right set of tires. I'm curious about a couple more things, and I would like to talk also then about what you're doing now to keep this spark
Mhm.
alive. One, I'm a big coffee guy. In fact, I stopped drinking coffee before our episode because I learned you don't have an interview when your throat's dry from coffee, but I love my coffee. What was your typical meal like that you could enjoy, but give you that energy as well?
So I got this question a lot, and people kind of expected an answer of like, I had a similar thing to some Olympic athlete, or I did this. You're just eating whatever they have available at the town. And if you're in like I remember the middle of nowhere, Utah, I stopped in a town. I did Thompson Springs. They have one gas station and that's it. So I had gas station pizza, and that was my meal for the day. So in the morning, I've had like stomach problems throughout my life. So I tried to keep it dry. So if I was at a motel, it'd be like dry cereal, an apple or something like that. But dinner was just what did this place have and where was that close to? And I didn't really want to, after getting to a town, I didn't really want to ride my bike 5 miles to get to some restaurant. So it was just what's there. And I
Okay.
ate a lot of calories, not really a healthy meal, but lots of calories was
Mm,
on the menu.
okay.
Yeah.
Did you lose weight from the point you started to the getting to Washington, D.C.?
So that was an interesting thing. So I started, I got through the Sierras and I hit into Nevada and I ended up looking into the mirror. I'm like, oh my God, I'm incredibly skinny. I need to eat more food. Like this is bad. And then 2 weeks later, I looked in the mirror again. I'm like, I'm getting fat. I'm overeating this. Like, what am I doing? Yeah. So it was actually kind of an interesting little um scale. You had to tightrope to get enough food, but you don't want to put on any weight because you're carrying that weight up the mountains and stuff like that
You
too.
gotta
So
watch that.
yeah,
Watch that.
I was very fit in DC by the end. If yeah,
Okay.
it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good for you. So you mentioned a couple folks that you kind of crossed paths with out east or out west when you had to run the target. And a gentleman was watching your bike. Is there an interaction, good, bad, or wow, that you had along the way? Again, that kind of like it's gonna be with you for a while. That memory of this of an interaction.
Oh, I'll give you two. One about cycling and one about politics. So the one about
Oh,
cycling, I was in Pittsburgh and I was near the end of my trip and stuff. And I'm at this point, I'm just like, I'm done. I need to get to it. So you're finishing and everybody you talk to is like, oh, this is really exciting. And you're like, I've been out here for months. Like, I need to go home. And I was talking to the guy at the bike shop in Pittsburgh and he's like, he told me about his buddy who did this. And he was like, yeah, my buddy, he did this 30, 40 years ago. And he says every so often he'll just zone out and in his mind, he'll be on the road again. And that kind of has happened to me because I got back after a few months. I went immediately back to my job and it kind of felt like a dream, but I'll be talking to someone and I'll kind of zone out and I'll just be in my head. I'll be on somewhere in Illinois or Kansas or something like that, just kind of cruising down the road. Not
mhm.
necessarily like the best road or the most fun or the worst one, just somewhere. So I thought that was kinda interesting. I hope that kinda stays with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
It was in the grand scheme of things, it was such a short event, but it felt very impactful for myself, which
Oh,
was good.
yeah. I mean, it's very
So
intense and day in, day out. Look, I still have nightmares when I was a wedding photographer, when I was
oh,
going
yeah.
through school that I forgot I was in the days of film. Oh my God, I ran out of film, or I'm going to be late for my international flight, or there's another one. Oh, I didn't pass my last exam. And
Yeah.
I so I literally don't have my master's degree. So you're going to have these nightmares. You're going to wake up. So
It's
so
like, wake
trust
up
me, you're gonna have those.
be
So
like,
you
"I
got
thought I
time.
was done," and go to sleep, I'm like, "I have 1,000 miles left at somewhere in
That's
Indiana."
right. That's gonna happen. The Are you a coffee drinker?
I love coffee. I drink way too much of it. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, I knew you and I were gonna get along. Did you get any good coffee along the way? I have to ask
I
that.
Yeah, I did. Honestly, one of the best experiences of doing this was not the coffee I got was sometimes it was just what I could get. So I had a few good places, but experiencing the food across the country was really special. Again, I was trying to eat like a little bit drier stuff. So I do love like Indian food, but I wasn't really going for Indian food on
Yeah,
this
you
trip
wanna
and
stay
stuff
away
like
from
that.
that. I know I would.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, there was I got some St. Louis barbecue that was and Kansas City barbecue that was delicious. Sacramento surprised me. They have very fresh food because a lot of the farms are right there. So that I had some really good stuff there. And then Pittsburgh has good bar food. Chicago has everything. Is pretty good. So
Alright.
that was actually phenomenal. I'm trying to think about a really good coffee. I think there was one spot in Kansas City. Yeah, Kansas City. I hit. It was a bike shop slash coffee bar. So I
Okay.
had like a big coffee while I was waiting for my bike to get new tires on my bike, and that was really
I
good.
I've heard of a bike. I don't know if it was Kansas City, but I've heard of a bike shop that was like that. It was a combination coffee shop, bike
Yeah.
store. And somewhere in my memory that has come up.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I would probably
Yeah.
be hanging out there for a couple days. So I'm curious. Now that you're back, how are you keeping the spark alive in this in what you have set out and what you initiated? How's it staying alive for you?
Yeah, so I'm trying to do more educational stuff for YouTube. I'm working on a video about what I learned politically for the whole around the whole country, where I kind of describe all the people I've met and what they said and what their attitude was towards me. And then I'm also working on a video which will be multiple about just the logistics of riding your bike solo across the country too. And I hope so. And the goal is to keep the educational stuff going. And I have a few more like single day rides planned, which are meant for like families and stuff to join. When I started this, the concept that we haven't gotten into this yet is the four rights, which are free speech, justice, education, and unity, are four things you need to keep democracy functioning. Free speech, so you can express your opinions and needs to everybody. Justice, to protect your free speech. Education, so you actually know what's going on in the world and can make good decisions to promote to your senators and politicians. And there needs to be a feeling of unity where your goal is not to screw over somebody else. It should be to help you or people around you. And I wanted to keep that message going with it. I don't believe this is actually a liberal or conservative aspect. I feel like democracy is something everybody can get behind, and it's important now more than ever. So that's what I want to do. I want to continue doing educational YouTube videos and these small protest rides, which everybody is invited to come,
I
basically.
love it. Now,
Yeah.
where are the rides taking place?
So I'm working on one in Phoenix right now. I don't have a date. It's winter, so it would probably be Phoenix, and then I want to do one in Texas too. So I'm working on that now as well. So
Okay.
yeah,
Well, we'll keep an eye out for when the rides occur. I've got a girlfriend and other friends down in Phoenix, and yeah, I
cool.
guess you'd want to do it in the wintertime. I certainly
Yeah.
wouldn't like Las Vegas. That's not going to happen in July and August. No way. If our listeners would like to continue to stay in touch with you and kind of stay up to date of what you're doing, what you're up to, where are the best places to go?
So I have my own website at rideforrights.com. That's ride with the number four and rights. And
Mhm.
that has all my links. The most work I do is on YouTube. Again, Ride for Rights is my YouTube channel. And all the same searches for Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, and Reddit. But I think YouTube's the best place, and that'll have all the ride announcements if you want to follow me. I also do Instagram, small Instagram posts as well.
Excellent. Well, we will provide all of those backlinks to our show notes. And hey, if you can share some photos with us so we can include some collages in our show notes,
Mhm.
I really would appreciate it. I think our listeners would love to uh, kind of see them. And by the way, I'm thinking as you and I are chatting, there's probably another half a dozen podcasters that I know would love to interview you. And I hope you're getting a lot of benefit out of the great folks at Podmatch and getting on some other good podcasting interviews. So hopefully that's been positive for you.
It's been great, honestly. It's been nice to have like something to do also, like after the ride to talk about it and stuff. So
That's good. Well, you got to
yeah.
keep it alive, and
Yeah.
what you have been doing, and what you did, and also what's coming up. I mean, really, it, it for me, it gives me hope, and I hope that it gives you that same hope as well that things are going to change. I mean, at least I hope. I'm using hope a
Yeah.
lot right now. I just realized that. But well, let me ask you, do you have hope?
Yeah. No, the reason I did this is because I do. Look, one of the things people have been told to and lied about is that when you go protest and when you do stuff, it has a big effect on the country and your life. Don't buy into the fact that you are powerless in this. This goal was it started as a thing to help democracy and educate people, but it became more of like trying to get people outside and not just behind their computers. Remember, there's people out there that are trying to make you feel hopeless. They're trying to make you feel angry and trying to make you feel scared. I went through 14 states in the country and I received a lot of love and respect from everybody, even people who didn't agree with me. But yeah, there's people that are doing things that are going to have an effect on the country, unfortunately, for probably the next 100 years. And if you want it to go well, and you want your kids and your grandkids' lives to be better than your own, you have to get out and do something. So,
I love it. And on that note, Teddy, it's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast. We wish you nothing but the best. I hope our paths cross. I will be happy to buy you a good meal and some good coffee and to hear more of the stories. But thank you for sharing your time with us on our first official interview of 2026. So it's been a great way to kick off what's I'm expecting to be another banner podcasting year. So thank you for your time today.
yeah, thanks very much. I had a great time.
Excellent. Listen, stay in the line. We're going to do a quick close and you and I can have a final chat. Okay.
Okay.
All right, folks. We hope you enjoyed today's episode with Teddy Bloom, cyclist and civil rights and free speech advocate for the Ride for Rights, a bike tour and protest across America initiative. What a wonderful story with Teddy. He's coming to us today on our first episode of 2026 from beautiful Santa Fe, New Mexico. What a wonderful story about this adventurous bike ride, 3,700 miles from San Francisco to DC, and really the advocacy for free speech and civil rights, justice, unity, and just really there's so much to be hopeful for in our country and what we do. We just have to remember that we need to take care of each other, help each other out. And if that means walking away from the radio negativity, the social media, then go do it. Go spend time in nature. Walk on a nature path and just and get involved in your community for everybody to have a decent living, a decent livelihood. Take care. And again, it comes down to taking care of each other in your community. And I think Teddy's journey and this initiative, the Ride for Rights, is a testament to what one person can do, let alone thousands of people can do. So just get out there and do it. Now, if you're interested in Teddy and his work, you can visit him on his website, rideforrights.com. He's on a variety of social media platforms, Instagram, especially YouTube, Threads, Reddit, Blue Sky. I think it was Blue Sky. But, just go out there and check him out and follow him. And if you get to Santa Fe, hey, maybe you'll even meet for a cup of coffee and go on a bike ride. But until next time, you can visit us on our website, outdooradventureseries.com. We're on Facebook and on LinkedIn. The video of this episode will be up on our YouTube channel. And of course, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcast from. Until next time, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there and have a fantastic day. Have a wonderful start to your new year. And again, make a difference and do good things. And we'll see you on a future episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Take care now.